This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
You have to be strong in today's world. Keep your focus and
The Hits Back with Nahaja Black is sponsored by the Cancer Treatment Centers of America, Dwayne Sands of Elizabeth Estates, J.S. Johnson, Baja Retreat and Spa, and the Progressive Liberal Party.
Good afternoon, Bahamas, and welcome to the Hit Back. I'm your host, Nahaja Black. It is a beautiful day here in the 242. I hope that everybody's doing well, that you are taking care of yourself, that you are living your best life indeed, that you are celebrating all of the highs, and you are also cherishing or remembering or recognizing the importance of the lows, that even when you are at your lowest, you can still, and there's only thing left to do is to ascend. So we have to be a people who are seeing and knowing that there are better days ahead, that there are better days ahead in the midst of crisis, in the midst of storm, in the midst of financial hardship, in the midst of your relationship, your marriage, your spouse, your children falling apart. Better days are ahead. It is that hope that springs eternal. When we lose hope, we lose the will to live, the will to push forward and succeed. And today is a very special day. It's a special day because we have to remember this day, right? We have to remember this day. This is a day in our history, hopefully that, Wayne Neely will write another book, meteorologist, on what happened here, but also from all of the survivors of Hurricane Dorian that touched down in our country 2 years ago and has forever changed not just lives, but the landscape of the Bahamian experience, literally. And so we have joining us, we're going to have an interesting show today. And I think first thing we must just remember Hurricane Dorian. I have a guest joining me, and we have a full show for you. We have my good friend C.A. Nuri will be joining us, and we'll be talking more about Hurricane Dorian. We've got Ricky from Grand Bahama. You remember Jet Ski Ricky, the gentleman who was rescuing folks in Grand Bahama? He'll be joining us as well to talk about the 2 years later. And then at the 5 o'clock mark, we'll switch then to getting to know your candidates. And that's one of the things that we wanted to do and we will continue to do leading up to the elections. Each constituency having its moment where we get to know each candidate or get, from what we have as information and sharing it with you, the general public, and what each constituency and community should probably need. And we want to hear from you as well. So the lines will be open with your thoughts. But first up, joining us, on this Remember Dorian Day, we have a PLP candidate from, let me make sure I have it right, Central and North, Central and South Abaco. John H. Pinder II from Central and South Abaco. John Pinder, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate that.
Listen, I'm happy that you're on the show today. If any more time was apropos for, a candidate, a prospective candidate, to join us, not prospective candidate, but an actual candidate and one of the Progressive Liberal Party to join us would be on this day from Central and South Abaco. John, first off, give folks an idea of who you are and why you've decided to put your name in the hat for political office.
Well, as you just said, my name is John H.W. Pinder II. I'm originally from Hopetown. My family is descendant from Hopetown and Cherokee Sound. My grandfather from Cherokee, my grandmother, another family from Hopetown. I'm a son of this soil. I'm a true Abaconian. And I found for far too long, Abaco has been left on the sidelines. And specifically after Dorian, we were forgotten. And that really hurt me. And that made me push forward and want to do more for my fellow Abaconians.
One of the things, I think folks will be like, Abaco was a flourishing town and a flourishing island, right? Fisheries, tourism, etc. For you guys, when the hurricane came, And let me ask this question. Let me go to this. Let's go a little bit back. 2 years ago. 2 years ago, where were you on this day, John?
I was, like many other hurricanes before that, in my home. I had prepared my yard, put my shutters up, got my family ready with the necessary provisions, and sat at the front door like I normally do, waiting for the storm to come. Little did I know this was not a normal storm. This was not an ordinary storm. Some people say a Cat 5, I say a Cat 6. This was a world record storm. While I was sitting by my door, waiting for the winds to pick up, and they were picking up steadily, sounding like trains passing by, I realized that this was definitely not of normal caliber. So when I was sitting there, I noticed that there was a lot of things hitting my house. And then I noticed that that was probably the neighbor's house hitting my house. As I looked up, there was a bit of light shining from the corner of my roof. And then, right then, I knew this was going to be different than any other time. This was going to be a time of survival. As I turned around and asked my wife to gather up my 6-month-old son and 6-year-old daughter to get them in the back room, I realized she was ahead of me. She was already escorting them back there. And God saving grace, the door that I was supposed to change on my bathroom was sitting there in the living room. And as we gathered into the bunk bed in the farthest back corner of one of the bedrooms, and there's only but a portion of it left. And I grabbed that door and I sat it in front of us to protect us from the debris. And that's where we lasted the first half of the storm.
Wow, that sounds harrowing. And what you said was the first half of the storm. John H.W. Pinder II, Central and South Africa representative for the Progressive Liberal Party.
I'm sorry, say that again?
No, sorry, you're freezing up a bit, but continue your thought.
Yeah, so as things were getting worse, one of the things that I do remember every year, specifically on this time, but throughout the year, is my 6-year-old daughter holding my back and asking me, "Daddy, are we going to die?"
Oh, wow.
And at that point, I honestly did not know, but I had to tell her, "No, hold Daddy, we'll be okay. Just have faith." And from that, we waited in that back corner room with the door in front of me. I was barefoot. Let me put that there. I was home. I was comfy. I figured this was like another storm, so not prepared to run at that moment. Barefoot with a door holding the only thing holding the 250-mile-per-hour breeze and debris flying around from away from us, until we found a little bit of light from the eye that happened to be passing by. When the eye came to, I had to leave them for a few minutes so that I could find a way out with next door neighbor's house, in my yard, on my house, around my house, and all the debris around me barefoot without shoes. I had to find a way out. But finding my way out, I was able to get out the backyard and saw my sister running out from my mother's house in the other property there. From that, we gathered everybody up and started moving them down the road to what I thought would be another secure location. And, living on a small island, you kind of know where you should run next if there was one. My house made of wood. I knew a couple structures that were hopefully more sturdy and built of concrete. Not knowing what I would find, as I went out to the main road, looking down the road, it was not only I, it was the majority of us out there looking for a safe harbor, a safe place to go. So now I have a six-month-old in my wife's hand, and I'm carrying my 6-year-old, and we're getting down the road, and we found out that there was a local resort nearby, and their main building was solid concrete, little place called Fireflies. We were able to get them to safety, and then I had to go back. My stepfather had injured himself. I had 2 dogs, myself, Macaw. My stepfather had 3 dogs, and I had to go back and make sure that that they and he were okay as well. As I returned, the storm returned, and we gathered up into the other house where my sister and mother and he were in before, and that was not as damaged as mine. And he and I stayed there with the animals for the second half of the storm. Luckily, there was a full roof that landed on the windward side of the house and acted as a shield. And as things plummeted this roof, we were looking for our plan. He had sliced his leg wide open. I was already exhausted, but we were looking for a plan B, another hole to hide in, because we knew it was just a matter of time. By God's saving grace, that roof, I'm not sure whose roof it was, but that roof saved us. That took the brunt of it. And then towards the end, I saw it splinter and shatter and disappear like a piece of paper in the wind. As we're sitting there, I'm looking at my watch, because now I am very worried about my family and hoping that the structure that I left them in was still going to be there. Counting down to sunset, just before sunset, I knew I had enough time. And I went back out on the street. I'm not sure if it was the smartest thing to do, but it was what I had to do. And holding power lines and hiding behind debris and pieces of house, I made my way down the street to find that when I opened the door of that sanctuary, my family was still okay, as well as many other families.
Thank God.
The majority of the resort had sustained substantial damage, so that one section was a lifesaver, not only for me and my family, but for a lot of people. Then, just before dark, I turned around and headed back, because at this time, my stepfather was bleeding out of his leg. He missed his artery by a hair. That was another blessing. So in this time of trouble, there was many blessings to be had. Otherwise, it was turned different. Luckily, here in Hopetown, we have a bit of elevation. So,
and that's where you're from, Hopetown. And you're Hopetown then, yeah.
Yeah, Hopetown. We're right here on the surrounding keys. We have a bit of elevation, so the waters weren't able to reach the whole island. It was only in certain parts of the island that the waters were reaching, which I'm glad that the locals here weren't eager to take the advice of the government, who told us to go to downtown Marsh Harbor as an evacuation plan, which sadly, and we got to pause on that, because many people lost their lives there. The waters, it's one thing to deal with wind, but waters are relentless, and they took the majority of Marsh Harbor proper, as well as some surrounding areas, which I thought I was in a nightmare. Afterwards, speaking to them, I realized that I was blessed in many ways. So that's in a nutshell, how we got through that night. The next day, there was still a Cat 1 high tropical storm out there, as we came out and started searching the rest of the islands, the rest of this island, to find anybody else that survived. We had to wait.
It's one thing, if you're just tuning in, John H.W. Pinder II, Central and South Abaco candidate for the Progressive Liberal Party, joining us. But on this day of remembrance too, and remembering that this was that day when it all started. Hurricane Dorian started her walk through, her demolition derby and destruction in this country. You know, what that next day, one of the things that I think a lot of us, we heard stories on the other islands, but there's no words I can tell when you speak with survivors of the storms of what it looked like and going through it. And then afterwards, that experience of trying to help your neighbor in the midst of it. What was that like, just in an emotional sense, for you and your family and others on the island?
Honestly, that is where survival mode kicked in. We got together as a community and we survived. We did what we had to do. The next day, it was still blowing 100. And we had to wait till low tide to get to certain points of this island, walking along the coast, because the island itself was a majority of the houses were in the streets, the boats, the yachts, pretty much anything that floated or was not concrete was piled on the island. So as we're searching, we went south first because we knew, besides the harbor, the other low part of the island was White Sound, which was a little resort up there called Seas Break. And there we found it flattened completely.
Wow.
It was a sight to see, but like I said, there was many blessings that day. We were able to find the majority of people right away, and with injuries and whatnot. But we were alive. We were surviving.
John, let me ask you this now. You decided to put your hat in the race, and I have a few people who are on the island, and they are all of different political persuasions and whatnot. But what made you decide to put your hat in the race this term, this election period?
Well, previous to this, I was on local government, and I got on that because I would come home and complain about things that had to be done on my island. And my wife particularly told me, stop complaining and go do something about it. After Dorian, I realized how left behind Abaco and Hole is, and how little help we get apart from our own communities. And I realized that this is the time, if I were ever to help my fellow Abaconians in a whole for all of Abaco, this was the time to step forward. I'm young, I'm ambitious, I have the energy to do it now, and I realized after Dorian I had a certain set of skills to do so. So it was really a matter of seeing the downfalls after Dorian and seeing the need that the future generations of Abaco really need my help. You know, that's what it came down to. I'm like I said, I'm an Abaconian through and through. I'm a son of this soil, and I'm not a politician, so to say. I just want to help my fellow Abaconians, and we need help more than ever. 2 years later, as you can see the debris piles behind me, we're still rebuilding. We're still cleaning up. Today, right now, I'm outside because there is no BPL power. It's off today. There's simple fundamentals of townships that aren't up and running yet. And we here are further ahead than most. Mm-hmm. So I realized that now is the time to put my foot out there and speak up for my fellow Abaconians.
Folks are asking a question here, John, in terms of the support of NGOs and donated supplies. There has been talks that, hey, there's a lot of And I would hope, John, that of course you would be, straight with me. And I know it's political season, but of course we want the cold hard facts on these things, right? So now you're my now you're my boots on the ground guy at this point right now for this question. But in terms of supplies, and there have been, where folks have said, listen, we have things that are wasting on the dock that were donated. Is stuff like that happening? Did it happen? What is the issue, or is there any issue of distribution and logistics with regards to supplies in Abaco right now?
Well, let's step back first. After the hurricane, that storm slowed down, so it was hard to get supplies to the island for days on end. And as we were waiting for, our government to come help, it was the NPOs to start, which a lot of them were formed right out of the need from Dorian, and NGOs, particularly Samaritan's Purse, that were there for the long run. Our friends down in Spanish Wells and some of our friends from abroad were trying to get through the weather to come to our assistance first and foremost than anybody else in our government, so to say. We were, like I said, we were left behind. We had to fend and survive per community and per us sticking together more so than anything else. And if it wasn't for our foreign friends helping us put together these NPOs, and then certain NGOs that came in and stuck it through with us, give us manpower, financial support, supplies, and so on and so forth, we wouldn't be here today. Now, it's from my understanding that there was a lot more that were to come our way that never reached us. And it was it's hard to say exactly what happened after those 6 months, just after Dorian. But I know that only a small percentage of what was sent our way actually reached our shores.
Wow.
And again, I have to thank our friends abroad. I got to thank our friends down south Bahamas. And I have to say, our government left us stranded for fighting for our lives, basically, to tell you the truth.
The tune and tenor on the ground. Well, we know, of course, a lot of Abaconians were displaced due to Dorian. What we say, percentage-wise, how many Abaconians have come back home?
Quite a few. I'm not sure the percentage exactly. The more we get rebuilt, our Abaconians love home. And, this is where we live through and through. So as more places are rebuilt and there's more opportunity for, making that income and being able to support your family, more and more of them are coming home. There is a percentage that will probably never come home. That's clear. But as we rebuild, and that's why it's important for me to step up and help my fellow Abaconians, because the faster we rebuild, the faster we can bring all of our neighbors back home, really.
I wanted to ask you one more thing before I let you go. Well, two things. One more thing. In terms of vaccination and that process that's going on there, how are you guys going? How is the island dealing with COVID? We know that there are some cases. How is the island dealing with it? And the final question would be, how is the PLP, or what does the PLP promise to do to turn Abaco around, which has led you to make this decision? So I'll ask the first one there.
Okay, the first one, we're resilient people. We know how dangerous things can be, and we are we're a smart set of people. But Bahamians in general, we're not only talented and skilled, but we're smart. So we know when certain people are ill, whether it be COVID or not, for them to maintain a certain distance. When certain restaurants or certain business establishments do have cases, they self-impose a shutdown for a limited time while they make sure that they're properly sanitized and proper tests that to see what staff or what people actually have it. That's another problem with us as well. The tests are unbelievably expensive, and only being able to get them on mainland Marsh Harbor and everybody having to come there, the travel costs on top of what a $200 and something PCR test is almost a week's pay, or is a week's pay. It's mind-boggling, the small things that could have been changed to help, alleviate some of the pain after Dorian, but definitely during this pandemic where commerce has slowed. Obviously, we're still in rebuild mode. We're still trying to pick up the pieces, but giving us that extra burden has really put a strain on us. But we've been dealing.
And for the last question, what is the PLP's plan and your plan as its member of parliament? Of course, understanding that a member of parliament only has so much power, and there must be a plan from top down within cabinet and so forth. If the PLP gets into office, John H.W. Pinder II, Central and South Africa, here with us, candidate. What is the promises? What are the promises? What's the plan for Abaco?
Well, we're going to be doing right for Abaco in a whole. Each township needs the fundamentals. We don't need a place where people live. We need communities, we need townships. We need to make sure if we don't have a clinic, we have proper medical supplies to deal with certain things. I know most townships don't have even a fire truck or a means of putting out a fire. That's a problem in a whole. There isn't anywhere for the children to play safely, and now with virtual learning, be able to learn. I mean, the internet is sparse, and so on and so forth. So what we are determined to do, what I am determined to do, is bring a certain sort of normalcy that you would find elsewhere where people live, take in places where people live to make communities and communities into townships properly, and giving them the fundamentals that they need to survive long term. That is in most places basic. Here is necessity. And I've been given support by the leaders of the Progressive Liberal Party to do just that and expand what we have in certain portions of Abaco, our tourism product, all through Abaco, so that there will be a place for our future generations. I'm doing this for my children and my friends' children and everybody's children. I'm doing this for the next generation and generations to come for Abaco. We have to make a difference. We have to make a change, and now is the time. We are not waiting any longer.
John H.W. Pinder II, Central and South Abaco. Thank you so much, John. It was a pleasure meeting you, and all the best on the trail.
Thank you much. It was a pleasure being on your show. We'll see you again soon.
Indeed. Take care. John Pinder II joining us on the show, and another candidate, a new candidate on the Progressive Party's ticket. I got my good friend C.A. Nuri, who will be joining us in a quick second, but we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we also have Ricky Martin. Yes, Ricky Martin, but not that Ricky Martin. Ricky Martin from Grand Bahama joining us as we talk about really what even happened in Grand Bahama from that vantage point. Ricky Martin was one of those people really exalted by the New York Times about how he saved lives during that time. We'll be back.
When I got prostate cancer, my family didn't know if I was going to live. At Cancer Treatment Centers of America, within days, I got an appointment. They presented me with treatment options, and we set up a robotic prostatectomy. When my scans came back, there are no signs of cancer. They don't see you as a number, they see you as a part of the family. I'm going on with my life. It's a real gift.
Call us at Cancer Treatment Centers of America.
Hello, Bahamas. My name is Dr. Dwayne Sands. I was born and raised in Centerville, in the heart of the valley, Nassau, Bahamas. I'm a proud Bahamian. I've been fortunate to represent the great people of Elizabeth for the last 5 years. It has always been my dream to serve my country, and I have been involved in the political process on the front line since 2009. I am very, very proud of the support of my family, who have been with me from the beginning and who are still with me to this day. In particular, my wife, Larica, and all of my children, and actually there's quite a few of them. I'm actually a cardiovascular surgeon. What that means is I take on the sickest people with the biggest problems every day. And so for me, the political process to deal with the challenges facing our country is pretty much par for the course. It's what I do every day. I am happy to be a part of the great team of the Free National Movement under the leadership of Dr. Hubert Minnis. We are indeed Elizabeth Strong.
This has been a paid political announcement by the FNM candidate for Elizabeth.
Listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja, Black Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. I got my good co-host joining me, and I see my guest is just jumped in the back, so I'm looking forward to having him tell his story as well. But I want to bring on my good friend and co-host for the day, C.A. Nuri. C.A., what's up, buddy?
How'd it go? I appreciate that interview just now, just to find out what is exactly happening in Abaco right now, and to hear their testimony. That turmoil, that storm, was traumatic, and it was traumatic for the entire Bahamas. Bahamians felt it all the way to Acklands and Mayaguana, and still suffer from the effects, the emotional effects of knowing that the Bahamas went through that. I remember when the storm came and passed over New Providence, and then sat. It sat over Abaco, it sat over Grand Bahama, and the phone lines went down, and we just sat and waited. And then you hear stories of the devastation. You hear stories that there are dead bodies. You hear stories of people trapped in their roofs. You hear stories about shelters collapsing on people, where people thought it was going to be safe. You hear stories about heroes risking their lives afterwards, enduring. You hear stories about systems not working. Right? And then you felt overwhelmed. I know I was overwhelmed. I was overwhelmed asking questions on what do we do? What can I do? Let's respond now rather than later. And I felt helpless. I felt helpless because it seemed that everything was in molasses and that my response to this was stuck in molasses. And I could not ready my arsenal of limited stuff to send and help people that I know. And that helplessness is not a good feeling when you know that Bahamians were hurting and that I'm safe where I'm at and I could not do anything. And I had to wait, and I had to wait on the kindness of strangers. I had to wait on international help to go and help Bahamians. And I don't want to have that feeling of helplessness anymore. I'm hoping that we're able to create some checks and balances where Bahamians can help Bahamians first, and then we'll embrace and accept everything international afterwards. But that will be on the ground in a matter of minutes, a matter of hours, and a matter of days. Instead of 2, 3, 4 days, we're waiting and hearing the wailing happening, and the door is shut from us. And like I said, I did not like that feeling, and hearing the testimony of Pinda just now evoke such again. That feeling of helplessness and the feeling of wanting more. And before I stop, I want to remind people that the hurricane kit, as you know, I try to resupply, replenish my hurricane kit every year, right? And I've noticed that the hurricane kit now adds a hatchet.
It does?
Yeah, they say you need a hatchet.
If you're going in the roof, you need a hatchet to get out.
You would need a hatchet as a part of your hurricane kit.
Where did you get yours from?
No, I haven't got it yet. I still picturing how I can maneuver this hatchet in my hurricane kit box.
It got to be like a toolbox, I guess. But
yeah, and they also have rope. And I'm trying to picture, I need a rope, right, in my hurricane toolbox.
Yeah.
You know, these are
go upstairs, how you get down.
Yes, the life vests. I need a life vest in my hurricane toolbox and kit, and I'm concerned about that because these are things I never considered before, and I am concerned that if I am actually ready, or I'm just partially ready and thinking that I'm safer than I actually am. So I want to let people know and remind people that things have been added to the hurricane kit list, and that we need to be minded and start procuring these items.
And, it's so, and these items, CA, are so important. And boy, you're just thinking about, okay, I need this hurricane kit. I need this hurricane kit. I need to make sure that we're protected. You never know what's going to happen. And then people are saying, but Jesus, do I have enough money to buy the axe? Or do I have to buy a toolbox? Where do I store these things? Okay, can I just wait until next week for the batteries? And, it's like when you can't afford insurance. Right? You want insurance, you need insurance, but you can't afford insurance. And so you're hoping that you just make it through to a point when you can. And it's, it's not irresponsibilities. People every day making choices based on management. That there are some people who can't afford to do this, even if you buy one item at a time and store it. And that's what you're going to have to do. We're all going to have to do this because I assure you, if we're not learning especially those who've not been through, who didn't go through it the way those in Abaco and Grand Bahama did. If we're not learning from others' experience, then shame on us. And, I want to have join us now. And I think you remember this gentleman, right? One of those heroes that was globally, internationally, revered and praised, lauded for their creativity and quick thinking, jump on his jet ski. Others had their little boats and they were out in Grand Bahama rescuing people in bad weather. And we have one of them here, Mr. Ricky Martin. Ricky, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure to have you on the show, my friend. A pleasure indeed.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
You, Ricky, we celebrate, I don't know if you say celebrate, we remember. No celebrations here, but we remember today, 2 years ago, Dorian landed in Abaco and was starting to make its way, its long, slow movement to Grand Bahama. And I want to ask you, when you saw, because you're in Grand Bahama, and on this day, by this time, we've already started hearing reports, right? We've already started getting ideas of what's going on in Abaco. What were you guys thinking at this point, watching Dorian?
Well, after we started to see the pictures come in from Abaco, because we still was getting Wi-Fi, we was hoping that it could come through swiftly, as quick as possible, and get out of here with minimal damage. But unfortunately, it came on top of us in park.
Yeah, and I know you guys were seeing the images. Did you anticipate? You saw, because you were seeing the pictures. You were seeing it and folks running, and it looked like we were going to, there's this issue of people were dealing with tornadoes, it seemed, in Abaco. Then it came to you guys. Go ahead.
Yeah, Abaco's bed was getting torn up, and we were just sitting here nail biting, just waiting on your turn, which was the worst part of it, in my opinion. Waiting on it to come.
And as it arrived, right? So it's now it's there, and it came on day 2 for you guys because it stayed and lingered, right? It came on day 2.
Correct.
And what was that like in terms of that experience, and in terms of you and your family? Where were you at the time? Just give us a bit of your story.
Yes, well, I was at home, and we were used to maybe an 8-hour storm, 12-hour max. But we had a full hurricane for 2 days. just licking and storming and raining and just getting beat. Hearing the reports and seeing social media reports that the storm is not moving. So I know that was total devastation.
When did you decide to come out? When did the water started rising?
When the water started to rise, that would have been day 3, which would be tomorrow. As the water started to rise, we started getting calls and people started, panicking and sending all these social media reports that they need help. So it was still like a category 1, 2 storm. We decided to go out and call up some friends, and we decided to go there and start to save some people.
What do you do? And so the folks can get an idea of, the jet skis. What do you do, Ricky? And what part of Grand Bahama are you on?
Well, I'm from Freeport, Grand Bahama, and I wasn't I wasn't on the waterway on the direct, on the north or the south side. I was in the middle of the land, and that's where I'm located, on the hill. They call the area like the ridge of Grand Bahama. So we were the only part that didn't get flooded.
Wow.
One of the only parts. So we were able to head out, some friends and I, and get out there to the bridge and drop the jet skis and go there and start. We never imagined it was going to be that much people.
Wow.
We started like about 6 in the morning and about 120 mile per hour winds.
I can imagine that you were skirting around debris. You were jet skiing and moving house. How did you know where to go? How did you know who to save?
Well, a lot of the people were on their rooftops. I went back out there and visited the site a few times, and I was amazed that we were riding over so much all of those trees. We weren't using street signs or road. We just was riding straight to homes. The water was about 16 feet high. We're getting like 16 to 20 foot swells. So we actually were riding the ocean. A lot of the homes we pulled up to, the lowest the water was to the fascia board of the house. So a lot of people were in their roofs or sitting on the roofs already.
Ricky, what was, I can't even imagine, but I know something like the guest prior said is that you're in survival mode.
Yes. The adrenaline started to kick in. We had to tie ourselves to the jet skis and to each other. And as we started to go and proceed, we saw some bodies, some debris started to pass around them, and just started to get people off their rooftop and bring them to the shallowest point. That was like walking height, like waist height and knee height in the water.
Did you guys know of a place where you could carry or drop off folks in the storm? Was there how did you coordinate? Because this is, wow.
Everything started to happen so fast. We grabbed one of the jet skiers and we made him coordinate and say, well, you coordinate as we bring the people. You stay here. We'll go get them. And we started to carry them to the top of the bridge, the Casarina Bridge in Freeport. That's connect East Grand Bahama to Freeport. And that was the highest point. So some of these people were on the roof for like 24 hours, a lot of them, just holding on.
Wow.
So we were able to bring them to dry land. We went on Facebook, asked for people to start bring towels and warm clothes. We lost some people. We had a friend. He was in the water, holding on to a tree. And when I saw him, he said, go get my wife for me. We broke away. We never found her. But when he came out of the water to jump on the jet ski, all of his skin was off from his neck go down. the breeze and the water whipped his skin off. He died about half hour later. Yeah, that was a sad one. But while he was in the water, you didn't know that all his skin had come off. It was like a pressure cleaner whipped the skin off him. Yeah, so another sad story, I went to a home and this family was on the roof and the dad said, you know, his wife, she couldn't hold on any longer because they were holding on to the power lines that comes out of the rooftop and goes to the lamp pole. They were holding on that all night. And the mother got tired. So when she let go, she just got swept away alive. You know, in front of the whole family. They never saw her again. He said in about 2 minutes, she was out of sight.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was a lot of stories like that.
Ricky, you know, 2 years later, and these stories are harrowing, and I can imagine having been on the ground and seeing what you saw and trying to help and save, you know, I wonder about the psyche, the mindset, the heart of all of the survivors. But your home, how are you guys doing?
In the storm? Say it again?
Yeah. How are you guys doing emotionally?
Emotionally. Well, we just, you know, Freeport resilient. When you hear your story, someone known is so much worse. I have a friend. She lost her husband and her 3 kids. And only her one survived. She's going through a lot. And when you hear other people's story, you don't your story is a joke to what you see. Because there's so much worse stories.
Now, what is the state of affairs in Grand Bahama, Ricky? 2 years later, post-Dorian, Grand Bahama is no stranger to hurricanes, right? But this one, Dorian, is something that is totally different. Floodwaters, the wind, but the floodwaters, that we all can say, was definitely apocalyptic, and the sustained wind and its behavior. For Grand Bahama, what is needed most right now?
Well, for the Bahamas, I think that the government was not prepared then, and is still worse not prepared now. They double not prepared now. After experiencing that, it's no excuse for us to not be prepared for a hurricane. To my knowledge, we are an archipelago surrounded by water, and to my knowledge, we have not invested in a helicopter yet, where we have people live on keys and on land. All of our ports of entries were damaged. All of our supermarkets were damaged. And everybody's house that had groceries in it that you bought for the storm, all of that got damaged. So food became a manhunt right there.
Ricky, hold that thought. We have to go to break. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we have to go to break. I just noticed the time. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to The Hit Back with Nahaja Black, remembering Dorian on this day. We'll be back right after this.
Throughout our lifetime, we must all make decisions. No matter how we choose, the right one just needs to be made. Like having J.S. Johnson Insurance Agents and Brokers as your insurance partner. We've been serving the Bahamas for over 100 years. Whether you need home, motor, marine, or commercial insurance, make the right decision. Call 397-2100 or visit jsjohnson.com.
J.S. Johnson Insurance. Peace of mind.
In the aftermath of Hurricane Dorian, this government was nowhere to be seen.
Your aid is coming from the U.S. What are you getting from the Bahamian government?
Nothing at all. Survivors questioned if help from the government would ever arrive.
As relief supplies are now finally arriving, volunteers complain about Bahamian government red tape.
At this point in time, we are on our own, and we're trying to get our government officials, please come down here and show your faces.
When they were needed most, this government was nowhere to be found.
This has been a paid political announcement by the PLP.
Baja sugar, sugar, let's get sugary. Softer, smoother, and amazing skin. Oh, Baja sugar, sugar, we're the sugar ladies, giving you skin soft as a baby's. Goodbye hair, we'll take good care of you.
Come visit us at Baja Retreat Spa on East Bay Street. Contact us at 323-6711 or visit us online at www.baharetreat.com.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back.
You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black, remembering Dorian this day. We're going to join us again back on screen, my good friend, C.A. Nuri. C.A., my boy, it's always a pleasure to have you on. And I know you're listening to the story as well with Ricky Martin from Freeport. Your thoughts so far?
I took interest on his take on whether the Bahamas is ready or have learned. I know there's a famous quote that you don't never lose, you must learn, right? You never give up on someone's calamity, but you must learn from their mistakes.
Yeah.
And I now wonder, did we learn anything from that monster storm? Are we better off? Are our systems better off? If I'm not even saying a Hurricane 5, but if a Hurricane 2 hits Nassau, do we have the mechanisms and the operations in place to react and to go and help, right? And I'm a little concerned about that. I know that Bahamians are quick to help. We are eager to help. We respond very quickly. But what happens when we, Nassau, who is the designated one to respond, is
and the
crippled?
most densely. Yeah.
Yes. What happens if we are crippled, right? And we cannot respond? What system do we have? Yes. Do we have a second island and say, well, we will launch from here, a second main post? We'll launch and coordinate efforts from here, and we will help New Providence and subsequently help the whatever secondary islands need help. And I'm not necessarily sure or comfortable that we have that. But I still would like to commend NEMA, right, and the job they're doing. I see we have a Ministry of Disaster Preparedness. That's a good mechanism. We now have about 3 different entities operating together and independently, right? And surely with them operating, I'm hoping that we will be able to respond and we are better off than where we were 2 years ago when Dorian caught us off guard.
And you know what, to add to that, what should be known is if they are better off, then we should know how they're better off, right? Because that means we need to know how to use the services, right? Are they able to respond quicker? Do they have their jet skis? Ricky Martin said something so powerful. He said, we still don't have a helicopter. One of the things we needed was for the U.S. Coast Guard to come and save people. We don't have our own. And that is something, considering the nature of our terrain, that the topography requires that you have access to islands, that you're able to rescue your own people. Ricky Martin from Freeport, before I let you go, you were saying in your remarks before I went to break, some of your concerns on saying, hey, you don't think we're ready? You don't think we're prepared?
Yeah, we are not prepared. One of the main things that need to be done when the government puts out an evacuation order, the main concern of the country or the island is where are they going? So a lot of people don't move. People on the outside might say, well, these people stubborn. A lot of people stay because they feel safe at home, because you're putting them in a school that was built in 1960 that they don't feel that is safe where they're going.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing that needs to be built, probably in the northern Bahamas, central Bahamas, and southern Bahamas, is a big evacuation center that is comfortable and can withstand certain winds and hurricane. We need Like I said, the jet skis in the defense force. We need smaller boats, hovercraft in the Everglades. They have the hovercraft type boats. We need the bigger vehicles. We need a section for hurricane after experiencing that. And the helicopter, like I said, and the training, all of that.
You know, and so interesting with that said, and CA, with your point too, we have a new ministry. We have a ministry, right? This disaster preparedness and reconstruction and long-winded. I can't say all the names, but you know, the one that we got the monies from to create after Dorian, right? So part of our funding with the IDB was that you got to put it towards, you know, stuff, and they started this, a whole department. More red tape, that's my thought. But we don't know, where's the office? Is it big enough to house? Is it like Operation Center? Like, we don't know much. And I think 2 years later, we should know more. And that's my thing. And then we're in hurricane season, and we pray that as we're in the hurricane of COVID, you know, that nothing happens, that we can actually finish this election period. And hopefully the Bahamas is spared another hurricane. Ricky Martin, before I let you go, final words or thoughts, my friend?
Yes, final words is I pray for everyone that's still going through a lot, who lost their loved ones. I visited 2 families last week with Miss Ginger Moxie here in Grand Bahama in Pine Ridge. And we went to visit 2 who lost loved ones, who lost their kids in the storm. So my prayers are out to everyone who lost a loved one in Grand Bahama and Abaco from Dorian and from COVID-19.
Ricky, someone told me something today, and I need to ask you if it's so. Someone said that there are still unidentified remains in trailers. That's not accurate, right?
That is so accurate. 2 of the homes that we visited, they have the loved one in the trailer. They are not being accessed to get the loved ones back. They have to keep the insurance going. They can't get to the bank book. They can't close no documents. They can't move on with their life. Everything is just on a standstill because the law is 7 years for missing person.
But they know their loved ones in the trailer.
They know their loved ones in the trailer. They fit the description. They know that their loved ones are there, and they just have a trailer. After 2 years, that remains still in the trailer from Dorian.
Ricky, you're saying this is a real thing, and that someone is sitting in Grand Bahama knowing their loved one is in the trailer. They cannot access their love. Ricky, we got to talk because I need to get this information from you. All fair too.
I could have the 2 of them on your show next time.
That's what I'm talking about. Yes, we don't have that because that's ridiculous. Ricky Martin, thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate you. God bless you, your family, and everyone in Grand Bahama as we all recover post-Dorian. Thank you so much, buddy.
Thank you.
All right. That one. I didn't believe it when I heard it today. I
still don't believe it, Nahaja. I mean, I appreciate Mr. Martin, and I know he means well. I think he may be mistaken with his information because that can't happen. No, I refuse to believe it, and it's very unfortunate. And I think it's part of his grieving process. And that,
I'm making a whole story. That's a part of his grievance process. That's
clarity, because that no.
Hey, I had a reporter tell me today that that's the case. I said, well, that can't be the case.
No.
That can't be the case. That can't be the case.
I cannot believe that the reporter hasn't reported either. See, it doesn't make sense now. And I cannot entertain things that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, Nahaja. So.
But for me, I have. That's why I have to get more information because I can't see why.
And they're being quiet this long. No, Nahaja. I think again it's stress, and man, I don't want to make light of the situation. I don't want to seem dismissive.
You said it's stress. Did you just say that the man is stressed?
Nahaja, what you are purporting and what the gentleman is purporting,
we're not reporting. When I asked the question, I just needed to get it.
Yeah, but no.
You didn't buy that. Not at all.
No.
That's why
I'm buying it.
more.
No.
We'll find out more. You
No,
want to say
no.
no. You can't. You want to say no, but we're gonna find out. And when we find out, CA, we will lay the facts bare. Because if that is the case, we have a problem. And I pray it's not the case. So
it's not the case. That can't happen, Nahaja. That's what I'm trying to say. I hear you.
What do you mean it can't happen?
No.
Why you say it can't happen?
No.
We know bodies have been in trailers. Now the question is, has the body been in a trailer and we can identify it and it's not released? That's the question.
Like I said, I think the more likely we did DNA and find out that they didn't match and it's unidentified and the
that would
desperation,
be
and the desperation of trying to get answers. There's a not a fulfilled moment, but no, Nahaja, I cannot no.
Someone says bodies in trailers in Grand Bahama 2 years. Boy, that'll be something else. I can't believe it. That's hard for me, I have to get more information on that one.
No.
I need proof of purchase on that one, but that's a hard one.
That's hard to swallow. I like I say, I can appreciate the heartache they're going through, but no, no.
Right, but and then there's that whole thing of didn't we bury a lot of people who were unnamed, who were unclaimed?
Yes.
I don't even think unclaimed because a lot of Bahamians said then that's our family. How can you just bury them? How can you put them in unmanned graves? Those are our families. And that was the outcry then where you saw a lot of people standing outside. And listen, there's some sadness, some travesties that occurred.
And Nahaja,
Parker, and she can tell you it's so. I got to call her.
And clearly there's a need to record these persons' story also. There's some harrowing stories that was told. And it's a moment in our history that should not be forgotten, right? I know that in 1934, 1936, about a devastating hurricane hit the southern part of the Bahamas, killing scores of people. I think this may be the largest one since then, right? And even that story is not told enough that people can understand what happened to fellow Bahamians. And clearly there's a need to record this. There's a need to explain what happened. There's a need for these people who went through these stuff to breathe out what they went through. And I'm hoping that we're doing that. I'm hoping that we're meeting these people and giving them the support they need to continue.
That's why, one day, Cecil, when the empire of Black Point Media grows, right? When the empire grows, and I'm able to afford to travel all of the Bahamas, we'll be doing shows on every island and key, yeah? And then we could say, no, I went there and I saw. I went and I saw for myself, So it's something else. We lost 3,000 people, maybe more, but the government said only 76 and missing. Lord heal us. This, the sad part on this whole thing is that many people are still frustrated and there's so many people who are unaccounted for, so many people who are missing. And it is still a process that needs all kinds of revelation. So much transparency in this process is needed. But God, it's been a time. It's been a time. And now we're in our second year of just postmortem, and people are still displaced. People are still hurting. People are still traumatized when it rains. As the winds pick up, it is. And we're not ready, Cecil. Do you think we're more prepared this year than last year for a hurricane? I still don't think we're ready as a people, especially New Providence.
And mind you, it's easy to critique and criticize, right? But I've seen the activity of the Red Cross. I'm happy to be.
No, I was meaning us. I wasn't meaning the entities. I mean Bahamians, us. We.
Oh, the Bahamians. I don't think we. See, hurricanes. You prepare for hurricanes when the hurricane is on the way. This is who we are, right? We do not prepare long term. If we see a hurricane is on the way, you'll see Bahamians spring in action 3-4 days before we replenish all of our supplies, right? And get emotionally prepared to brace it. But it's hard to tell Bahamians who are working class people who need all of their monies, right, to spend their monies on something that may not come, on items that has an expiry date, right? So I understand the frustrations and all Bahamians always procrastinating, but I don't blame them. I understand what they're going through, and we need to show them support. And I see the government entities have continuously remind us on what to buy, what to purchase, just so we could be emotionally prepared for such. If a hurricane comes and it's less than a Hurricane 3, I think Bahamians are prepared. Dorian was a freak storm. I think that Bahamians purchased the items. I think that the majority of persons evacuated where they wanted to evacuate to. Persons who experienced a storm before say, okay, it's usually 2 feet of water, 3 feet of water. I can bear that, right? And they prepared for that. But when you hear the story of Ricky Martin and realize that the water was 16 feet, I'm not sure if you understand what 16 feet is.
16 feet. He was in the ocean. He said we were in the ocean.
That was ocean. And when you know that people gone in their roofs and drowned, right? Couldn't come up. The water gone into the roof, and they couldn't. And that means they're going over the roof and drowned and got stuck. This was something that it is hard to prepare for, right? No matter of rope you have, right? No matter of axe you have, no matter of canned items you have, it is hard to prepare for that. And I can imagine, I only could picture me being in a roof top with my family, and I'm thinking I'm safe, so the water won't get this high. And even if I have an axe, it's pitch black, no electricity, we're in the dark. Yeah. And my goal is to keep the family together, right? And even if I chop my way through, going out on the roof where 70, 80, 90 miles per hour wind blowing, right? I'm putting my little child on top of the roof and telling my child, hold on there, right? While the wind blowing in the dark, right? Let me hold your little sister and you try to be safe. That's almost impossible for a Bahamian to prepare for and to brace, right? So it's easy to critique us and say, oh, this is what we need to do. But until you're in that situation, and I'll try to describe it as graphic as I could just now, I'm not sure if many of us would have made it. Only God would have been able to intervene and block the storms, block the winds, and say, well, right now is not your time. Because I'm not sure if the best of us could have made it what these people went through in Abaco and what these people went through in Grand Bahama.
Well, and you know what? There are so many factors to it, and you're right. There's so much part of it where, listen, you cannot beat Mother Nature. Best you can do is prepare, right? There are certain parts of the world that gets earthquakes and tornadoes. We get hurricanes, and there's 1 or 2 rogue, little, rumblings. This earthquake that I never felt, but everybody was high. You remember last year or year before last, it was a thing. But what I think, we have history telling us that hurricanes are our thing. It's our thing. And one of the challenges, we master nothing. we have just managed. And when something comes that is beyond us, like the situations in Abaco, where the homes, we have to be honest, the homes in Abaco were not hurricane-proof homes. So hence you saw all of that destruction that way. So would the homes have fallen? And I've spoken, we did, extensive shows, whole story, and with regard to just the structures, architecturally, how do we prepare? How do we ensure that we are up to code? Making sure that that the codes are enforced on each island, that this isn't building codes. That is something that is under our purview and our control. We don't let the inspector be there for forever, because the inspector then becomes inspector general, right? Like becomes the boss of inspections. And people can easily lose, once they become, comfortable, lose their way and just do things sideways. So there are things that we can do, that is in our ability to do, that can help to mitigate some of the loss. But of course, you can't beat waves, right? But we know that flooding comes with storms. You remember Katrina? Katrina came as a tropical storm to us. I still remember that day, because I remember, Jesus, this rain just won't stop, right? That it would not stop. And thank God Katrina, in all of its bluster and wind, saved us even. It could have been us with the waves, and but it was the dam, whatever that thing issue was over there in New Orleans. But you learn from other nations' issues, and how do we mitigate? And 2 years later, are we stronger? What has this new ministry done that has made us more robust? Can we rescue people, right? Do we have sufficient resources that at the end of the year or before the year comes, in that hurricane season, there are some people who are, low-lying areas might be a little less fortunate. Do we sell life vests at a reduced price just to simply cover the costs so that we know you're in low-lying areas in the event that you need to escape or whatnot? Mark that with the house number so we know we're not giving it again, right, in the next year, and progress. This is technology helps us to be smarter, Technology is supposed to help us to be better. And one of the things I realize in Bahamian culture is we make governing 400,000 people sound as if we are governing New York size. Yeah. Obviously, we don't have New York's revenue. So we are governing 400,000 people as if we're not nimble. We are a lot more nimble or versatile than we give credit to. And consider the land mass that we have. How do you manage that? How do you say, okay, you know what? We're going to create businesses in this particular island, in this region, so that if we know we cannot populate all islands, let us start to bring some sort of commerce to a particular island in the southern region, so that we can get those sparse communities to go to this particular island in the southern region. And they still have their home over whichever island it is. But we know that this is an opportunity where you can grow and replenish here, It is. I don't think we're just having the right conversations, and things are done in obscurity. We start ministries and nobody knows anything. That's where the disappointment comes, as if we cannot move forward all at the same time, or begin to see progress and not just reports, but things that are tangible. So that's where I am 2 years later. Are we smarter, better, more prepared? I think we will respond differently. I do. But what happens if it's Nassau? What is the plan?
And before we change topics and direction, I must say and commend that through Dorian and through the recent hurricanes, we had a rejuvenation or rebirth or energize of NGOs. We have all type of NGOs now in the Bahamas, incorporated, that are willing to work, that is ready to participate, and it's something to brag about and commend. Whenever we have another tragic situation, God forbid, I'm sure that these NGOs will respond in kind and be one of the first to be out of the gate, and will complement our government. Clearly, our government needs assistance and help with these things. And I think that with these NGOs coming on board and having their own independent mandate, they will supplement and assist the government in general.
Melanie says, they're making people believe we had wooden structures. Not every home was wooden. I definitely got you. Someone says, no matter what type of home you had, Dorian came with a vengeance and took down concrete homes. I saw that too. And says the people went to God's house, and God's house collapsed on them. Siobhan says, no, we were not ready. And it seems we never appeared to take a provocative approach to these hurricanes or natural disasters. Instead, sidewalks and election paraphernalia seem important. My prayers go out to my family and friends, all of those who were impacted. Melanie says, I'll never forget the stench of Marsh Harbor and neighboring communities. Wow. The numbers are incorrect. Sending love and prayers to all affected. My good friend who's been on the show many times, Jonathan Edgecombe, lost his two nieces in Abaco. His two beautiful young nieces, he lost them. And little children he lost. And they're still grieving that loss. The lives lost were real and tangible, and many have not recovered. So this is definitely one of those sticking points. And praying for the spirits and the minds of the Bahamian people. When we come back, CA and I are starting something as we move into the political, as we are in the campaign mode. And that is, we're in campaign mode now. What are the constituencies looking like? What do you think of your candidates? We'll be back after this. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja, Black Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM.
In the aftermath of Hurricane Dorian, this government was nowhere to be seen.
Your aid is coming from the U.S. What are you getting from the Bahamian government?
Nothing at all. Survivors questioned if help from the government would ever arrive.
As relief supplies are now finally arriving, volunteers complain about Bahamian government red tape.
At this point in time, we are on our own and we're trying to get our government officials, please come down here and show your faces.
When they were needed most, this government was nowhere to be found.
This has been a paid political announcement by the PLP.
When I had got prostate cancer, my family didn't know if I was going to live. At Cancer Treatment Centers of America, within days, I got an appointment. They presented me with treatment options, and we set up a robotic prostatectomy. When my scans came back, there are no signs of cancer. They don't see you as a number, they see you as a part of the family. I'm going on with my life. It's a real gift.
Call us at Cancer Treatment Centers of America.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black.
We're back. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja, Black Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM. I got my good friend CA and Yuri joining us. Okay, CA, it's always a pleasure to have you, buddy, on the show. And someone said you got low energy today. What happened? CA, okay? You all right, buddy?
Yeah, a little tired, but it's good. I'm good.
Yeah. You know, you can't run yourself as ragged as you used to, you know?
I'm getting old, but I'm good.
That's what it is. You are getting old. I'm glad you noticed.
Once you start hitting 32, you know, now that I'm 33 years old, you know, you see the grays.
You just start seeing the grays? What kind of, you knew what this said. Say just start seeing the grays. All right, buddy. So, all right, we have, what we planning on doing here is we are going to start really looking into our constituents, right? Constituency by constituency, and really categories, right? Today, because of the short time, we're only going to cover two, right? Two, what we call inner city. What do you define as an inner city community, CA?
And inner city is basically working class communities, you know, working class communities would have social issues, but are striving. And usually you see places like St. Barnabas is in the city, Centerville is in the city. You see being in Grandstown is in the city, Engliston is in the city, and everything after that will be more of a middle class areas. But those names I called right there would be working class persons who have things they have to overcome. The communities have issues.
Yeah. Okay, well then let's start with the first inner city community, right? First on the ballot, I think, is it Bain and Grandstown? I think it's first constituency listed, right? Is it Bain and Grandstown or Baum?
That's Bain and Grandstown that you're showing right now.
Yeah. So we have Bain and Grandstown as an inner city community, and I think there are some more candidates, but there's no photo for them. I think this is the main crew right here, though. Okay, so we've got running in Bain and Grandstown. We've got Travis Robinson, Free National Movement. We've got Wade Watson, Progressive Liberal Party. We've got my friend, with the new party. This is the Lake of Colors, United Coalition Movement. Brenda Harris Pinder. What's up, Brenda? Woo-woo! You know, Brenda ran in that constituency as a DNA last time. Yeah.
Yes, I saw the flyer.
Mm-hmm. We got Donna Dorset Major. She's with the Coalition of Independents. And then Keno Lockhart with the DNA. Your thoughts?
My thoughts about what exactly?
The slate. Sorry, choking now. Slate.
I see a lot of bench. You ever saw those basketball team and you say, oh, Lord, they can make it to the playoffs? I see a lot of bench on the slate. And only one superstar and then bench.
Who's the superstar, CA?
And the superstar is actually Travis Robinson. I think Travis Robinson will more than likely win the seat. I think that he's an experienced politician now. I'm looking at even the PLP's selection, Wade Watson. They sent a junior to go up against a Travis Robinson who has proven himself to be a savvy politician despite his age, right? For a young man to navigate, to create a platform, to attract a major political party, because remember he started as an independent, and attract a major political party to back him, and then to topple a political giant and then the name escapes me. I forget who he beat for the last election.
Wait, hold on. Never mind. I'll come back to that.
Yes, come back to it.
Knowledge, wasn't it?
Bernard Knowledge. To
Yes.
topple Bernard Knowledge. And to understand how this politics game go, I think the PLP made a mistake by sending Wayne Watson. They should have sent one of their juggernauts, you know?
Really? I love the fact that maybe young Travis Robinson is now taking down, because if we're looking at, and you gotta forgive me, it's at least once a year I choke on him. It's like a thing. I always, but now you can't choke anytime because it might be COVID. But I digress. Anyways, many would say that, and someone says I agree with CA. It would be actually very refreshing to see this young candidate win again, right? Even though the party thing.
I think he will win, definitely, and I think he will win on his own merit. Right. People appreciate that this gentleman, young lad, stood up against the prime minister and said, no, I will not support that, right? And whereas they had persons who were supposed to be more senior than him quivered. So you can clearly say that this young man is man. And he
but
can...
What about this wave? Is when Darrell asked, Darrell Miller said, he sees people going on this wave of brave. What about this wave? Is there enough anti-minister sentiment that will cause young Travis's seat?
No, I think Travis is beyond that. I think Travis is beyond that. I think that he will win this with ease and surprise a lot of people. And to the point where as if his party is able to win the government, he would deserve a ministerial. It can't be no permanent secretary no more. He would deserve a ministerial post because he would have understood what is required of him, and it should be interesting to see how he politic during this campaign. You see that few people know who Wade Watson is.
Listen, Wade is a coach. Many persons know Wade from his coaching days.
That's okay. I can't tell you what subject, what sports he coached, nor can I tell you what school he coached at.
I'll tell you
I know young Travis Robinson.
I don't know him personally. I've never met him. I know my husband knows him because they were.
What sport does he coach?
Basketball.
Oh, for what team?
Not team. He's a coach.
I assume it has to be a sports team,
Maybe,
some kind of high school.
I think maybe school. I don't know.
Not one of the big high schools, no.
I don't know. I don't follow like that.
They have a name for that.
But I haven't. What's the name?
He's a bench. He's bench. All the rest of the slate is bench. You call them in after the 5 players got tired. You call people like him in. You know, he's like number. He's number.
Coaching, man. Just because you don't, your baby's the swimmer. You don't count.
That's okay. He haven't reached that national acclaimers yet. He's like the 7th man on this basketball team.
Oh no. Wade Watson is very much known within the sporting community now. He's not someone who's a lost figure, right?
He's bench, Nahaja. You must learn to understand how to look at bench, and I've seen bench there.
This is funny. Okay, my good friend Brenda Harris, Wade Watson. I think there's enough anti-sentiment for. Someone gave a great analogy too. Said that the field is so dense that it'll split the vote, and it might be and go in favor of Travis Robinson. So that might be to his favor as well, where you have folks who are just won't vote F&M or won't vote at all. Then you have the group that will vote because they're like Travis. You got a group that'll be anti-minister. That might you say, okay, we'll go with the Progressive Liberal Party. And don't sleep on the impact of the coalition of independents in these inner city communities. Don't sleep on that. And
They might just get that 20 votes. Yes, I understand. That 20 votes may impact the conclusion, but they didn't get no more than 20 votes.
I don't even know why I entertain you. You're trying to say the coalition will only get 20 votes?
I'm willing to take you to a fish fry over that bet, by the way. No more than 20.
If you're just tuning in, the Bain and Grantstown candidates are that we have right now: Travis Robinson, Free National Movement; Wade Watson, the Progressive Liberal Party; Brenda Harris, Pinder, Bain and Grantstown; Donna Dawson Major, Coalition of Independents, and I've not gotten any background information on her. Keno Lockhart of the Democratic National Alliance. For the record, that Keno Lockhart is a Baintown man. Grew me up. He used to walk me, my brother, and he will walk me from C.W. Sawyer, because he used to go to GHS, and walk me from there straight to West Street whilst we waited for my mama to pick us up after school. It's a good man. Good man. Just throughout. Good, an entrepreneur, successful.
It seems as if he stopped walking, Nahaja. I'm just saying, I appreciate he used to walk in the past. He may need to take that activity up and adopt another child to walk up and down, just for his benefit and all of our benefit. He's a good man. Let him stay a good man and walk some more. Walking is healthy. Go Keno.
Just make me
I support walking.
You are just like, you need to go repent. You gotta go get saved. Get saved. Go get saved. Keno Lockhart DNA. Good man. Donna Dawson Major, Coalition. She's an attorney. Thank you. Donna Major is an attorney. Thank you. Donna does look like she will, she got it done. She'll say, Your Honor, I object. All right. Say, Nahaja, what happened? What happened with CA Nuri? That's what happened. Oh, my good friend like that. CA ain't saved. Y'all know CA ain't saved. CA ain't saved. No. And so now we got Brenda Harris, also a good friend and accountant, right? Someone says Wade will bench Travis.
We shall see. We shall see. A lot of hurt feelings will be happening, But see, I believe in deepening democracy, and all fun and jokes aside, right? I appreciate Brenda Harris. I've seen what she's done in the community. I know that she's passionate for being in Grantstown. That's why she continues to challenge, right? I'm not familiar with a Donna Dorset Major, right? And I'm not familiar with a Keno Lockhart. I already know I don't know who Wade Watson is and why he would have even challenged being in Grantstown, because I assume that everyone else have some kind of connection. But I would like to see this race and see how well everyone does inside this race.
Listen, I think this is a strong match. Again, is there enough anti-Menace as there was enough anti-Perry? Some people I always think that this is what is interesting to me. I think people will vote. We vote for or against leaders, right? And is there enough of an anti-sentiment that some candidates will have to go, even if the others say that they want to keep them? I asked the question, which members of parliament now would you like to keep? And Travis, I think I need to put them all in a Excel spreadsheet, or actually do a real poll. And but Travis was actually doing well on one of those candidates. A lot of people say they'd like to keep. So
because he thinks on the box, and I'm not tooting his horn. I just happen to know him, and that he comes around my father's house and assists in terms of senior citizens. He purposely go to various senior citizens' houses. So I'm familiar with who he is, right? But I see the effort he's made. When school closed for COVID, I think he was the only politician who created a safe spot where kids can go and get access to the internet, right? Get access to computers. And he partnered with Graycliff in order to do that. I cannot say that maybe I could yield with Brenda Harris, because like I say, I'm familiar with her activities. But I cannot say that any of these men and women have done anything of that like, right? To say that they try to help the community of Baines and Grantstown, right? And so besides Travis Robinson and Brenda Harris, I cannot say the same that Donna Dorset Major did anything, or Keno Lockhart do anything, or even a Wade.
Part of the community. Brenda Harris. When I say part, that's West Street. That whole.
Yes, that's why I say I can yield with her, because I see her activities. I can drive by and see her activities working and panning out.
Mm-hmm. Listen,
but not for nobody else.
This is going to be, I think, an interesting one to watch. Bain and Grantstown, Travis Robinson, Wade Watson. There's also a grand Commonwealth party, but there are no photos for this group, right? But I've been told not to watch out for them. I'm like, but I'm watching. It's election time. If you're watching and you ain't seen nothing yet, ain't nothing coming. Like 14, 16 days away. But this is a good, strong slate. And again, Brenda Harris, Pinder, she is in Nassau. Donna Dorset Major from the Coalition of Independents, been told that she's an attorney. Keno Lockhart, manager over at, or director over at Atlantis. So Wade Watson, of course, known nationally as a coach, a really good one. Okay, Hater, Cecil. All right. And of course, the incumbent, Travis Robinson. So then we got another one. Now, this is where we're stuck a little bit with this group, CA, because there's a lot of names for Centerville, but no.
But you know how my answer is going to go with this. But I know definitely who will not win. but I digress for now and tell you call the names.
You petty. Of course, I know who's going to win. Okay. Oh, Michelle Malcolm is running in Baines and Grantstown. Thank you, DeAndre.
Well, hold on. Who?
Michelle Malcolm is running also in Baines and Grantstown on the Grand Commonwealth Party.
The radio personality, Michelle Malcolm?
Yes, Michelle Malcolm. Oh, is Michelle on air? I don't think you can. You can't. Can you do it? I gotta check. I haven't even.
She paid her $400 already?
You know what? Say it about business. Don't mess with Michelle. Don't mess with Michelle. You mess with Keno, leave my people alone. Someone says, I think he doesn't know Wade Watson. PLP,
clearly I don't know Wade Watson.
PLP is returning home. He doesn't have a clue. Someone says, CA is so out to lunch. Take his bet. I can take your bet, CA.
Take my bet.
Get more votes than 20. Seems as if they would get more than the DNA at this point. And that's where the watching will be. Will the Coalition of Independents actually supersede the DNA in votes? And I think that is quite likely. I think that is the upset.
Fighting for third and fourth place is not important, Diane.
Don't worry about that. That's still something to note.
Nahaja, third and fourth place is not important.
That's still something to note. Okay. So, all right, here we go. This is where we have this group. And I'm trying to get the full list now because this isn't a full list. For Centerville candidates, we've got Reese Chipman, the incumbent, right? And now independent, former Free National Movement member of parliament, then turned independent, right? So we have Reese Chipman as the incumbent. Then we have Jomo Campbell for the Progressive Liberal Party and Courtney Kulabali. I'm going with that. Courtney Kulabali for the Free National Movement. All good-looking gentlemen. And Centerville, okay, and I have to get the rest because there's like 4 or 5 other names. I think the DNA candidate, Cecil, if you remember. And just your thoughts on those 3 whilst I get the other one.
Boy, and mind you, this is going to be an interesting race, right? I know, I always tease Reese Chipman in regards to that. And what I appreciate with Reese is he has broad shoulders. I could tease him as much as he wants. He'll laugh at me and say, watch. And I am watching to see what Reese Chipman does. I think this is going to be a close call for this 3. I think that Reese will be a spoiler, but this is going to be a 3-way race to the end, right? And
hold that thought. I got to interrupt you. We got to take a quick break. When we come back, the Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM.
smoother and amazing skin. Oh, Baja sugar, sugar, we're the sugar ladies, giving you skin soft as a baby's. Goodbye hair, we'll take good care of you.
Come visit us at Baja Retreat Spa on East Bay Street. Contact us at 323-6711 or visit us online at www.baharetreat.com.
Hello, Bahamas. My name is Dr. Dwayne Sands. I was born and raised in Centerville, in the heart of the valley, Nassau, Bahamas. I'm a proud Bahamian. I've been fortunate to represent the great people of Elizabeth for the last 5 years. It has always been my dream to serve my country, and I have been involved in the political process on the front line since 2009. I am very, very proud of the support of my family, who have been with me from the beginning and who are still with me to this day. In particular, my wife, Larica, and all of my children, and actually there's quite a few of them. I'm actually a cardiovascular surgeon. What that means is I take on the sickest people with the biggest problems every day. And so for me, the political process to deal with the challenges facing our country is pretty much par for the course. It's what I do every day. I am happy to be a part of the great team of the Free National Movement under the leadership of Dr. Hubert Minnis. We are indeed Elizabeth Strong.
This has been a paid political announcement by the FNM candidate for Elizabeth.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
To the Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. CA Nuri and I, and what we'll be doing is every day now, we will, as much as CA is available, which is the great thing, if you're able to help, but we will be going through this process right now of the candidates, right? So we'll take a look. And the inner city communities, they've always needed, more help, right? Candidates winning is always a wonder. What is the reasoning behind why people vote, period, regardless of which community?
And Nahaja, and before I continue and comment, I remember you asked a question on who deserve their seats, or should the incumbent whether any of the incumbent deserve their seats. Mm-hmm. Reese has worked hard. I'm not going to take it away from Reese. Reese has worked hard. If you ask me, does Reese deserve the opportunity to represent Centerville again? I would say yeah. I would say yeah, man. Yes. Reese did a good job. Reese did a good job, right? But I ain't saying that I think he can win. But I just want to say he deserved to be considered. I believe he did an excellent job. I believe that the people of Centerville has some decisions to make on what is important to them. Yeah. I think that this election is very important to a number of people, right? And the two major political parties, which is the FNM and the PLP. And I believe that they will put their monies behind these two candidates to force Teresa to the side. So at the end, it's going to be about Juma Camel and Courtney Kullaby.
Kullaby.
Man, I did my best on that.
I'm still guessing, so I'm going to go with that. I think I'm going to use my hooks on phonics. Kullaby. Courtney. Let Darryl call it.
No, you don't want Darryl call that name.
Let Darryl call it.
No, leave that name alone. Tell Darryl call that gentleman Courtney, Mr. Courtney.
What a time. Okay, so we've got Reese Chipman, Jomo Camel, Courtney.
Yes.
Courtney. I think Reese deserves that seat. He deserves that seat. I hope the people of Centerville vote for Reese. I really do. And
one must understand and appreciate that Centerville is a PLP stronghold, right? I think that the PLP understands what it is. Coulibaly. He may have to just break that name up for the rest of his life. I mean, but anyway, Coulibaly. And I think they will appease and play to the senses and the emotions of the people in Centerville. And I think that persons like Reese and persons like Courtney would need to campaign different. They cannot campaign trying to convince them to vote for a party, but putting forward that a best case on why they deserve to win that seat as an individual, right? And that's the only way they can chip away against this wave, like the Darrells call it, that is happening right now. You chip away at it and say, I am the better candidate, and they need to now prove it. Challenge the PLP candidate as much as they can, and have them.
I don't understand why people say it's Jomo Campbell hands down. Is he from?
No, but see, they know the culture of the area, and the area is very PLP-ish in the liking. But clearly you see that Reese is a giant slayer, and Reese,
exactly.
Yeah, Reese proved that's not necessarily so, and people say, oh, that's because of the wave. But Glennis Hannah Martin proved and showed that no matter what the wave is, the people will vote for and support people who take care of them. And Centerville realized that they weren't being taken care of, and that's why the former Prime Minister get kicked on the side. They weren't getting taken care of. And now the question on whether Reese took care of Centerville enough that the people in Centerville will be loyal to him.
Now, someone says Courtney has history in that community. His mom ran in the area. Mother was in education. And someone says, yes, Jomo is from that area. So we also have, and I want to make sure I have everybody else in this. So we've got the rest of the constituent, the rest of the candidates for this. The DNA candidate, Frederick Sawyer. He is one of those persons running in the constituency. You've got Ari Persenti, I don't know which party, and Ambrose Nixon as well, both paid. I'm not sure which parties they're with, but Centerville will be six persons running in Centerville. And the incumbent being Reese Shipman. I got my support on Reese, man. Let's go, Reese. Let's go, Centerville.
Did you get any of Reese orange shirt?
No. You know what? I ain't got no shirt.
You're no true supporter. If you don't get no shirt, you're no true supporter.
You're right. I need a shirt, but I don't get shirts. I never got a shirt.
Reese have shirts and Reese have caps. I've seen it in Centerville. People wearing shirts
Reese's
and caps.
shirt now. I wear Reese's shirt.
Yeah.
I support Reese. I wear his shirt. I ain't wear nobody else's shirt, but I wear Reese's shirt. That's the easy one.
You are a true friend. I can say that. You defend your friends to the end. I can say that.
That's my boy. Reese Shipman for Centerville. Don't forget. All right, CA. So we got a lot more of these to go. All right. So, my friend, I want to tell you, thank you so much as we continue to remember today. Just before we go, and we literally have 1 minute left to go. Your final thoughts on what this day means and how we should continue to remember September 1st as in terms of Dorian.
The very idea that the two major political parties took time out to remember this day, right? Took time out. After them suspended their campaign and they're going to do something. The PLP fly a whole contingent to Abaco and Abaco and Grand Bahama shows that this day is going to be important to us for a while, right? Mm-hmm. That for the next 5-10 years, you'll see that we'll take time out to speak on it, and it also suggests that people are still recovering. Mm-hmm. That is still etched inside their memory. It's still fresh. The wound is still fresh. And that there are some unresolved issues that government need to help resolve for these people. And I'm hoping that doctors and social scientists and all those persons go down to Abaco and Grand Bahama and help assist these people to get over these type of things.
Yeah. Listen, I would wear Freddie Mac shirt. Okay, so I got two shirts for sure. I feel like there's a third person I forgot. 2 people, Freddie McAlpine and Reese Chipman, my peoples. I would wear their shirts. I can't wait. can't wait. I can't wait for my two guys to get back in the House of Assembly. Let's go, Freddie. Let's go, Reese. Woo! All right, we gotta go. Okay. Take care, buddy. You're listening to The Hit Back with Nahaja, Black Guardian Radio. See you guys tomorrow. We're out.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.